Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Southeast Regional Health Authority nurses on sick out. Suspected arsonist arrested by St. James Police for disposal site fires. And later in sports, West Indies play to a draw with Cricket Australia 11 in warm-up match. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shane Masters and here are the details. Several categories of nurses assigned to hospitals in the Southeast Regional Health Authority have called in sick reportedly over a lengthy wait time for retroactive payments for sessional work. TVJ News was informed that the offer is for the payments to be made in 2026. However, the disgruntled nurses are not in agreement with the plan. The sick out started yesterday on the 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. shift, but escalated today. Regional Director of the Southeast Regional Health Authority, Errol Green, says registered nurses, midwives and enrolled nurses have taken action which is affecting the Kingston Public, Victoria Jubilee, Spanish Town and Princess Margaret hospitals. Mr. Green says information was received yesterday which suggested possible disruption in services, and so contingency measures were put in place at the hospitals to include supervisors and nurses in training filling gaps. He says KPH is most affected by the action of the nurses. The country's waste management teams have stepped up operations to catch arsonists responsible for lighting disposal sites. Halshane Burke picks up that story.
In recent years, local disposal site operators have had to fight fires set by arsonists, costing the country millions of dollars. But the authorities have stepped up operations in a bid to cauterize the illegal practice. With that, the Western Parks and Market says one man who is suspected of setting the retirement dump on fire numerous times has been arrested.
Since the arrest, there has been no reoccurrence.
What we are doing now is worship. We are trying our best to ensure that we have only 2 acres active, exposed. So that way we will be in a better position to manage the facility as it relates to arson.
Customer Relations Officer for the NSWMA Western Region, Sharon Williams, says the fires occurred on November 26, December 11 and 20 and lasted for 8 hours each. Councillor for the Montego Bay Northeastern Division, Senator Charles Sinclair, is pleased that action has been taken. He says this is a move which should help in preventing such acts from taking place, which he labels as an act of terror.
I noticed that the reps from NSWMA, they are cautious in respect to saying that there's a suspect, etc. But the action in at least saying that we have a reasonable basis on which we could have arrested somebody shows that between the NSWMA and the Jamaica Constabulary, they're not going to tolerate persons lighting the retirement dump.
Mr. Sinclair says when lit, the smoke emanating from the site is a nuisance to the business community and residents alike.
If there's sufficient evidence and the person is convicted, that they suffer the consequences as harsh as it can be.
Halshane Burke, TVJ News.
At least 25 people, mostly children, have been left homeless following a fire which destroyed their homes Wednesday afternoon in Whitfield Town, St. Andrew. The cause of the fire is not known. Now, one of the fire victims, known as Neil, says he was on the road at the time of the fire. He told our news center that this is the second fire that has impacted him.
Just set up myself and this time I'm come back and say yes, it's not right now. Circle back, take time by one thing and look by little.
The members of the political directorate visited the area on Thursday and said that the requisite assistance will be sought for the residents.
As you know, it's a total devastation. It's a total wipe out of their clothing, all their belongings. And when I came earlier today, a number of the children, especially the older ones who are going high school, were insisting that they want to go back to school. We will be ensuring that many of them, as swiftly as possible, get back to school.
Councillor for the Whitfield Town Division, Eugene Kelly, says contact has already been made with the Labour Ministry to provide the fire victims with food, clothing and bedding items. He says that the Member of Parliament, Dr. Angela Brown-Burke, has committed to helping with the housing situation for those affected in short order. Residents of Mount Edgecombe Housing Development in Ono Bay, St. Anne are frustrated with the National Water Commission for not providing them with the precious commodity on a regular basis. They say for months they have been getting the runaround and their level of frustration has heightened. Carrie Simpson has the details.
In a peaceful protest, residents of Edgecombe Housing Development in Runaway Bay, St. Anne, signalled to the National Water Commission that they will hold no more. The residents say the situation has been ongoing since 2020.
We haven't been getting water in our pipe in the tap for months. Don't tell us about a shower because there's none in the tap there. And we are getting the bill, high bill, every month just like that.
It's understood that a pump station near the community that should be pumping water to the area has gone out of commission.
We've been having water trucked into the community, and in order for us to get that, we have to call NWC to make the request. When you call, sometimes you're put on hold for over 20 minutes and then the call just disconnects. So when the truck comes in, if your name is not on the list, you don't get any water. And there are persons who are working people, so they are out when the truck comes in the day. So if nobody is home, there's no water for them.
I have been consistently making representation as a Member of Parliament, and it is through representation that last year, June, the Minister without Portfolio, Honourable Matty Samuda, would have done an opening of the upgrade of the Martha Brae facility, which would cause an increase of water coming into our very same communities.
Our news centre contacted Richard Williams, Regional Manager for the NWC.
We have now moved to resolve the situation on a permanent basis by getting consistent water from the Martha Brae, which is the source. There was, however, a challenge with the relief that supplies directly Mount Edgecombe Phase 4 community just before Christmas, and that was removed for replacement. We have now gotten a replacement, and this replacement should be installed.
Carrie Simpson for TVJ News.
There's an urgent appeal for the repair of a damaged water pipe in the St. Mary community of Grantstown. Now, residents say the pipe has been leaking huge volumes of water since the latter part of November last year. They say despite reports to their political representatives who promised to have it fixed, nothing has been done.
I've been on the water and the water waste, you know what I mean? Because if we run like now, maybe we'll lose about nearly 5 tanks of water if we're done. And a couple of months from now, we're not on the water done.
3/4 of the district not getting water. Apart from those who live on the side where the reservoir is, they are the ones who get water daily. We out here on the main not getting any water. All it do is waste on the road. The tank has been out of service maybe 3 years now, and I don't know why. It has been repaired and still no water is going in it. No one say anything to us.
Now, when contacted, the National Water Commission says it will investigate the matter and make the requisite repairs. The lead detective in the Everton Beachy Stout MacDonald murder trial concluded his testimony on Thursday. Our reporter Raquel Porter has been covering the case and has this report.
The lead investigator in the murder case of Tony MacDonald dismissed suggestions by one of the attorneys representing murder accused Oscar Barnes of concocting stories against their client. Attorney Vincent Wellesley made several suggestions to the senior officer at the end of his 2-day cross-examination in the Home Circuit Court. Mr. Wellesley suggested to the policeman that he charged Mr. Barnes instead of the son of the prosecution's main witness, who was also taken into custody. Early in the trial, the prosecution's main witness, Denvelin Minot, told the court that during one of the attempts to kill Tonio, he along with his son and a taxi operator visited the MacDonald's dwelling. Mr. Wellesley also suggested to the witness that he did not visit Crossroads Police Station where Mr. Barnes was being held. The policeman said the only reason he visited the station was to ask Mr. Barnes whether he had an attorney. Early in the proceedings, the officer admitted that he took note of what Mr. Barnes told him in his notebook, but Mr. Wellesley told him that he did not collect a statement from Mr. Barnes because the visit never happened and that he concocted a story because he did not have evidence. The attorney suggested further that his client was innocent then and is still innocent. The investigating officer dismissed the suggestion, saying, "I had evidence. That is why I charged Mr. Barnes, sir." Everton, Beachy Stout, MacDonald and Oscar Barnes are on trial for the July 2020 murder of Mr. MacDonald's wife, Tonya. Raquel Porter, TVJ News.
And it's time for a break here on the Midday News. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Has the local political landscape matured past the need for the office of a political ombudsman? Not everyone seems to think so. More politicians have been calling on the government to operationalize the office as the political climate heats up. The issue was raised at the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation. Jamaica Maitland reports.
Councillors at the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation sparred over the importance of the office of the political ombudsman on Thursday.
I'm calling on our parliamentarians, the legislators, to make sure that Jamaica have a political ombudsman, that somebody is appointed in the position.
Councillor of the Waterford Division, Fenley Douglas, says the absence of the office in a pending local government election period is a slap in the face of democracy. Mr. Douglas points to several instances where the then political ombudsman de-escalated heightened tension in his division. In 2022, murals painted in a section of the constituency were deemed inflammatory. The ombudsman requested that it be repainted. Here are photos of the space today. But there are those who question the need for the office of the political ombudsman.
It is more that we go here and do our public education. And do a public education in regards to how we must behave with each other in the political arena. I think that is much better for it to be costing the country millions of dollars more to employ a political ombudsman in our society. I think we are more mature now that we can go on our own and we know the tools and the don't.
You saw some children painting a sidewalk the other day in green. Those were things that the ombudsman would have intervened in. Because what that is trying to do is to continue the hostility of tribalism in this country. And that is what we are trying to move away from.
Mayor of Spanish Town Norman Scott says although the political climate is not as violent as in the 1980s, the tactics being used by some politicians are just as provocative. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck is expected to update the country on how the Electoral Commission will carry out the functions of the Ombudsman's office, which it will subsume. Some politicians, however, are wary.
We need to have the Ombudsman, the independent members of the EOJ needs to be remained independent members.
Jamila Maitland, TVJ News.
And it's now time for the Business Minute. The Jamaican economy is estimated to have grown by 2.3%. Preliminary data from the World Bank indicated local output grew at a slightly higher pace compared to the forecast given in 2023. In June last year, the Economic Prospects report said Jamaica's gross domestic product (GDP) was set to increase by 2%. Looking at Latin America and the Caribbean region, the growth estimate was also revised upward at 2.2% for 2023 based on the January outlook. At June last year, the forecast was for 1.5% growth. The World Bank says the global economy expanded by 2.6%. The confirmed estimate for 2023 is expected to be delivered by June this year. Further afield, Netflix's ad-supported tier has hit more than 23 million monthly active users. That's an increase of about 8 million in roughly 2 months. Netflix launched its ad-based plan in the United States, Canada, Australia, the UK, and several other countries in 2022. The standard plan with ads cost $6.99 a month in the US. The ads range from 10 to 60 seconds. In an October 2023 letter to shareholders, Netflix said it is optimistic about the long-term growth of its ads plan membership. And that's it for the Business Minute. Time now for the thanks, Carrie. And we head to a quick break. When we come back, Jeremy and Brown will have your midday sports report.